What is going on YouTube? Welcome to another video from FPLFamily. My name is Lee, this is Sam. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're new to FPL, welcome. This is our top 7 differentials video. So we all know guys, and we have the last couple of weeks since the game has been live, we all know you can have your Salahs, you can have your Sterlings, have your Trents and your Laportes and everybody else. But when it comes down to it, the art of FPL is all about finding those low ownership players. It's about finding those little gems, the little gems that no one else is talking about. So here we go, guys. We're going to talk for the next 20 minutes or so about the top 7 differentials. If you want to find us over on Twitter, we're over at FPLFamily over on Twitter. We're also at FPLFamily over on Instagram. So make sure you check us out over there too. First differential, Sam.
Yep.
A man close to your heart, Mr. Dele Alli from Spurs. Now, 22 starts for Dele Alli last year, so not really the sort of consistency that we're looking for from a player that is 8.5 in the game. Too expensive, surely. What are you saying about Dele Alli?
Top of my most wanted list, but not yet in my draft.
Really? And you've got Kane in your draft right now, so you're thinking Kane and Dele Alli? Is this too much? Too much Spurs, surely. Too much.
Maybe, given that we've got City in game week 2, but I think for me, Dele Alli, that the signing of Dembele a few days ago has really, for me, focused my eye on Dele Alli.
Yeah, how do you think Ndombele is going to change Dele Alli?
Massively, because I think what we saw last season is that with Kane's injuries and the changes that we had around the team as a result of that, but also with Dele Alli's injuries, he was not getting forward as much as we would want him to from an FPL
Dropping
point of
far
view.
too deep. Yeah.
Very deep. Whereas now with the new Dombele having arrived.
How do you say this guy's name? Ndombele. Okay.
Yeah.
62, 63 million euros. I
think it was 65 million euros in the end. He's our club record.
All right.
And I think, for me, I don't think he's an FPL asset, but I think what he does do is he makes this guy an incredible FPL asset, and I'm fully
He's going to be the one that shores it all up and lets the
horses run free.
Who is it that used that?
Mourinho.
This is a Mourinho. Let the horses run free. How did you know I was going to say that?
Because you love it.
Can let the Spurs horses run free, and one of which I think is Dele Alli.
And I think so. And I think there is a couple of things that I'm still watching on in terms of Dele Alli. One of those main ones is what's happening with Christian Eriksen, because I think if Christian Eriksen also departs to Real Madrid like he wants to, then
I don't want him.
Well, I know, but he wants them.
They don't want him.
But if he goes, I think Dele Alli becomes the man in terms of that midfield position going forward. So for me, he is absolutely right up there on top of my watch list.
On the radar. Well, 2.2% team selected by right now.
What a differential!
What a differential!
Aston Villa at home.
5 goals, 3 assists last season out of the 22 starts. I noticed he got an attempt every 47 minutes from open play last season, which was up, down slightly actually. It's 43 in the previous year, so you're only going to get
more last season.
Yeah, I know he did, but you're only looking at maybe an attempt on goal every half with Dele Alli, so you're going to want for your 8.5 a bit of an increase in that, I think.
My first Jammy Pick of the season. Dele Alli.
So 8.5 Dele Alli. Another midfielder that's coming in a little bit cheaper, actually quite a lot cheaper, Felipe Anderson at West Ham, 7 million. Started the season like a house on fire for West Ham at the beginning of last season, up until about Christmas. And then in the same way that we saw from another young Brazilian, Richarlison, I don't know, what is it about these young Brazilians? Do they struggle to keep up with the pace post-Christmas? Because Anderson kind of fell away a little bit at the back end of last season. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think yes, you're right, but I also think that with Felipe Anderson, they had that really lovely partnership, didn't they, with him and Arnautovic and Yarmolenko, who then had that bad injury that's meant that he was out for a large part of the last season, and that I think did affect Felipe Anderson in terms of the way that he was playing in the game. I also think that this whole situation with Arnautovic, and is Arnautovic staying, is Arnautovic going, which feels like we've been talking about, is Arnautovic staying
just
going
go,
for forever?
Marco. Just
leave. Just go away. But I think that affects the ability to pick Felipe Anderson, because he's one that I did think about in my first draft. But actually, how do you pick him? Because what kind of West Ham are we going to have? And that really puts me off of him. It's not so much him as a player, because he's been in the Premier League now for a season. We've seen that he can play and will perform in the Premier League. But for me, it's West Ham. What West Ham are we going to see next year? Yeah,
and I noticed Felipe Anderson, 7.0 million in the game, as it says on the screen there, in 13% of teams right now.
I'm actually surprised it's that much.
Well, I think my view is that a lot of players will be going in and doing the auto pick and just leaving their teams and seeing what happens over the summer. summer. And at 7 million, he's prime candidate to be a bit of an auto pick, I think. So I wouldn't read too much.
Unless there's a lot of West Ham fans playing the game.
A lot of Brazilian West Ham fans. I'm not expecting that 13% TSB to be quite so high come August the 9th on game week 1, is my view. But nevertheless, City at home to kick off the season, Brighton and Watford away, Norwich at home, Villa away. It's a tricky little start, isn't it, for West Ham?
Particularly given where they are at the moment pre-season with all the kind of the ins and outs and the comings and goings. I think let's see if it settles down a bit. If Arnautovic goes, I actually think that would be the best thing for West Ham. Sorry, West Ham fans, but I genuinely think that there's so much disruption around that. I think the team will be better off with it when it's just sorted one way or the other.
You could be right. He's a bit of a talisman though, isn't he, Arnautovic?
Yeah, but they've got players like Felipe Anderson who's got the potential to stand up and do that.
Okay, well, 36 starts last year for Anderson, so maybe that ties in with the conversation we had before about was he getting a bit overworked? Was he a bit knackered coming into the season? I don't know. Let's see. 9 goals, 4 assists against an expected goals of 6.46. So here we go. If you're new to FPL, get used to XG and XA. XG is the expected goals that we expect a striker to score over a period of time. So if he's getting in all the right areas, getting big chances and narrowly missing, but he's doing all the right things, then you would reasonably expect him to score more goals than he gets, if that makes sense. And the same for assists. If a player is doing all of the creative work and getting in the right areas and putting the ball across, you'd expect his expected assists to be high. If you guys are following. If you're new to FPL, head over to our Twitter at FPLFamily. Lots about XG and XA over there. But Felipe Anderson, an XG of 6.46, which means throughout all the play that he did last year, you'd expect him to get about 6.5 goals. Yeah. We actually got 9. So could he be overperforming a little bit? Could we get a bit of regression? Who knows? I actually personally liked him. In the time when he was really showing form, I remember a game away at Southampton when he got a couple of really nice goals. Good for his owners at the time. I think you had him. I didn't.
Obviously.
But one to keep an eye on. One to keep an eye on, Felipe Anderson. Let's go to somewhere else in London. We're staying in London. We've done Dele Alli. We've done Felipe Anderson. Let's have a look at Arsenal. Alexandre Lacazette, 9.5 million in the game. A bit cheaper than Aubameyang, his strike partner. Wilfried Zaha, at time of recording, is still a Crystal Palace player, although Arsenal are being heavily linked with him, not just for 40 million, but now 40 million and a pound. That's bound to come in as the next bid.
Where are they going to get 40 more million from, though?
Where are they going to get that pound from? That's what I'd like to know. But Alexandre Lacazette, 9.5 in the game. Newcastle, Burnley, Liverpool, Spurs and Watford to start the season. Can we fully engage with these Arsenal players, particularly Alex Lacazette at 9.5, when they've got that tricky start of fixtures to the season? Do you want to spend 9.5 on Alex Lacazette? In a word, no. I can see it on your face.
If you said to me, you have to have an Arsenal player, that's the one I'd have.
Okay.
Because I feel like he offered really good value for money last season when, Aubameyang is that much more. He's at 11. You got to find £1.5 million to go from Lacazette to Aubameyang. Now, all right, I know that, Aubameyang was Golden Boot and all of that kind of stuff, but I didn't feel that there was that much difference in terms of the price. There was that much difference in them last season. I was actually expecting Lacazette to be a little bit closer to Aubameyang in price this year. I think it all depends, doesn't it, on what happens at Arsenal in this transfer window. If Zaha arrives, that probably means that Aubameyang goes. Then what happens? How does that fit with Lacazette? Does he become the main man up top with Zaha feeding off of him?
Because there's a bit of a school of thought that says, well, if Aubameyang goes and Zaha, a more natural winger, comes in, then maybe that provides Arsenal with a bit more balance that might suit Lacazette. Actually. I mean, I think Arsenal would be... Well, if I was an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't want to get rid of a 22-goal-a-season striker in Aubameyang, but
Zaha's a great player and could be brilliant for Arsenal.
For sure. But Lacazette, for his part, 14 goals last season, 11 in the box. So that gives you a feeling for where he likes to operate and where he does his best work, which is centrally in and around that area. At 9.5 for me, I think I'm going to be priced out of him a little bit. There's some other nice options, like Jamie Vardy at Leicester at 9 million. And if you want to go up, well, you need to find £1.5 million, but Harry Kane is not too far off of 9.5, is he? You've got £1.5 million, not easy to find in the pre-season in FPL, there's no doubt about it. But at 9.5 for me, with those fixtures, I think he might be a wait and see.
I agree.
You agree?
I think it depends what happens pre-season with Arsenal, but I do like him.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go a bit further south. Let's go to the south coast and have a look at Brighton. So a player that was in sensational form a couple of seasons ago, or season before last, and kind of was a bit unlucky with injuries and had a bit of a stop-start season, Pascal Gross, last year. Coming in the game at 6.5, where there are a lot of options. If you noticed in midfield, a lot of options at 6.5 this season. 0.7% teams selected by, and a lot of that could come down to the fact that so Brighton starts the season Watford away, which is tricky, West Ham at home, Southampton at home, which look nicer, then it's that City away game, and then it's Burnley, which we've said on previous videos we're expecting Burnley to do reasonably well. So I don't know, actually those fixtures don't look too bad. Pascal Gross 6.5.
I think it could go both ways here, couldn't it? There's the new manager thing, and the new manager thing for me, I always just like to sit back, and that's why I have. I've got Matt Ryan at the moment, but otherwise I've got no Brighton, and I think it's one of those that when a new manager arrives at a club and a manager that I don't really know anything about either, I want to sit and watch what happens with Brighton over the next few pre-season matches, get a feel for how they're going to play, in order that I can make a better judgment about which of the Brighton assets I think are good, because I think that the fixtures are okay, is an okay start to the season, and I don't see any reason not to have a Brighton player, but it's just working out from pre-season which one. Is it Gross? Potentially it is, like you say. I mean, the season before last, absolutely outstanding fantasy asset. Last season, you're right. I mean, mostly it was because of injury, not really his fault. But
he was an ever-present season before last. Started every single game, but only 25 last season. So again, it's still not bad out of 38. But again, not that consistency in the team that you would have expected from the previous season.
Agreed. And so I think we need to see with the new manager: is he going to play every game? Are we going back to the Gross that we had in the previous season, or are we getting a repeat of what we had in 2018-19? Because if we're getting a repeat again, not such a great fantasy asset. So I think we just need to see how pre-season goes.
My concern with Brighton, and I think it is more of a team concern than it is with Pascal Gross specifically, is that he can provide the bullets, but they haven't got the gun, they haven't got the guy up front that's going to really do the business. They've got
Glenn Murray.
I know the old Warhorse still knocking about Glenn Murray, but
is he not retiring yet?
He must be on his. If he was on his last legs, he's on one last leg surely now.
You wait, they'll pick up Llorente as well. They'll have Llorente and old man Murray up front together.
Goodness me. But listen, the new manager's going to come in. Potter's going to come in. He's going to have his own feel about the team. Chris Hughton's more attack-minded players were either very unlucky with injury, like Izquierdo, or they haven't really done it like Locadia and players like that. So the players that have come in that I think Houghton was looking for to get the goals haven't really done it. So they've kind of relied on Glenn Murray a bit too much than they should, frankly, for a 34, 35-year-old. Sorry, Glenn Murray. So Pascal Gross absolutely could be an option if, and one eye on the transfer market, if they sign somebody half decent to put his chances away. So
let's see.
Keep an eye on him. Pascal Gross, 6.5, very good a couple of seasons ago. Could we see Pascal Gross come back to his best this year? Who knows? Let's go back to London. Let's go to Chelsea this time and have a look at Ross Barkley. 6.0 million in the game. A lot of change, obviously, at Chelsea over the summer. Frank Lampard coming in, gonna have to work with what he's got, isn't he? Has to. Can't bring anybody in. I know you're very excited to see Frank Lampard in the Premier League.
Excited.
I know you're very excited. A Chelsea legend, clearly a Chelsea legend, but what a job he's got on his hands. And someone like Ross Barkley, the reason I put him in here is no one's really talking about him. No one's really talking about Chelsea full stop, actually, except maybe Giroud at 7 million, or maybe Pulisic at 7.5 is now added to the game. Ross Barkley, in my opinion, could become a sort of Frank Lampard of old. Sometimes I feel like some of these managers might see a bit of themselves in some of these players. And Barkley is the sort of player that likes to get forward, does his best work when he's attacking the edge of the box.
I can see that, actually,
in a Frank Lampard-esque way.
Doesn't look as nice, though, does he?
Doesn't look as nice.
Which is pretty.
Right.
I think, for me, I was really anti having a Chelsea player until last week's announcement that it was going to be Frank. And then
it was always going to be Frank, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think for me, I was really anti it on the basis that I kept looking at the Chelsea assets, thinking they're priced so nicely. I feel I should have one, but who do you pick? And I was kind of thinking, well, maybe I waited for Hudson-Odoi or Loftus-Cheek to recover from their injuries, and I'll get one of them.
But Ross Barkley in 6 million? Am I barking up the wrong tree here, Sam? No pun intended.
No, I don't think you are actually, because I think what you said earlier is totally spot on in that I think Frank Lampard is exactly the sort of manager that they needed. Now, for him personally, I know that basically I think he sort of hinted at that you have to take these opportunities whether you think you're ready or not, because they may not come knocking again. And I get that. But I also think that for him, if he'd have had another season before it happened, that would have probably been a benefit to him managerially, just to have done another year at Derby. But I think what it does mean for Chelsea is that suddenly we have a new manager who, because of the transfer embargo that they have, kind of has to just work with what he's got. And what he's got is very, very talented youngsters. And in order to play...
And Pedro and William.
And in order to play those youngsters and get the best out of them, the old guard, if we can call Ross Barkley and William and Pedro the old guard.
The old guard. No, you can't.
But they have to stand up, right? Because they are the oldest guard they've got. So they're the guys that they have to stand up and be counted. And Giroud, let's put him in there. They have to stand up and be counted. So I don't think it's that out there a pick.
Okay, well listen, I think it's 13 starts in the Premier League for Ross Barkley last year, which was the perennial problem with Ross Barkley. Was never starting, and it was him and Kovacic going in and out of the team. Subbed on from the bench on 14 occasions, subbed off on 10 occasions of the 13 times he started. So, goodness me, you can't rely, I'm afraid, on Ross Barkley for a 90-minute stint. But guys, you never know what Frank Lampard is going to do with the older guard, as you quite rightly say. And Ross Barkley, who knows?
I know I shouldn't call him old guard, but he is much older than the rest of them.
You're absolutely
that
right.
They have.
You're absolutely right. United away on the opening day, Leicester at home, Norwich away, Sheffield United at home, and then Wolves away for Chelsea. So at 6 million, we are talking proper differential territory here, because there's some other nice options in that bracket.
I might add it to my want list.
If Frank Lampard shows some faith in the likes of Ross Barkley and gets behind him in a way that Sarri didn't, keep an eye on the young Englishman. Keep an eye on him. Another young Englishman who I'm expecting to do pretty well this year is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain from Liverpool. 6.5 million. Now, clearly, one of the things you've got to consider about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is that actually you've only got 3 Liverpool slots in your FPL team. You can't have any more than 3 Liverpool, and with Salah probably taking one up and at least one defender in there, maybe 2 for a lot of people, fitting someone like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in is going to be difficult just from how many Liverpool players can I have?
Agreed.
But if you want to look at differentials, you want to look at a player that no one else is looking at, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, 6.5 could be cheap as chips. Very, very unlucky with injuries last season.
Yeah.
And of course, has now fully recovered, looks much better in pre-season training, and Liverpool have got, the Community Shield and a few other games to try out these players. But when he does play, he's not a central defensive midfielder. He doesn't sit back like the Fabinhos and maybe the Hendersons in the centre midfielders there. He's in that number 10. He's up supporting Firmino and attacking. Scored a number of good goals last season when he played. So what are your thoughts?
Well, I like him as a player. I think he's great, and I think for you as a Liverpool fan, I'd be delighted to be having. In fact,
like a new signing, right?
Yeah. Exactly. It's basically like getting a new player. From an FPL point of view, I mean, what I can't work out is, can you go there? Because for me, I'm playing the sort of potentially, I suppose, slightly risky strategy of going with 2 Liverpool for the opening game, in order that I then have a space for whichever part of the Liverpool team starts to perform. So to take that space... I
see what you're doing, yeah.
In order to, is it defender or is it another attacker? But in order to take that for Alex, it feels a bit weird. It feels a bit of a weird thing to do. So for me, he's a wait and see. But if you're brave, it could be a really nice differential. That's
what this video is all about. Brave differential. 6.5 in the game. Only 0.6% TSB right now. So there are some FPL managers that fancy getting Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in from the beginning. Him and his family, presumably.
Backing himself.
Yes, he's backing himself. And as we've already discussed on previous videos, and is well documented, Liverpool starts the season is very nice. Norwich at home, of course, on August the 9th, game week 1. Southampton away, Arsenal at home, Burnley away, Newcastle at home. So there are some really nice games there for Liverpool. So if you want to get into that Liverpool attack, but you haven't got the money for a second player like a Mane or a Firmino, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain could be the one.
Guaranteed to start?
Well, no, clearly not. I mean, he's going to be in that midfield 3, if anywhere. Yeah. And of course, you've got Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum. You've got all sorts of...
Milner?
Milner, potentially. Although Milner's, potentially... I say he's getting on. He just He's just on it. He's a machine, the guy. He's
Should
absolutely
put him in the old guard as well.
He's in the old guard as well, absolutely. And you've got Keita as well, who looks as if he could be injured, actually, but for the start of the season. And I've noticed that whenever Liverpool want to really get at and want to go after a team, which they will want to do at home to Norwich, Arsenal and Newcastle in particular, that number 10 position is not such a Wijnaldum Henderson conservative player. It's a bit more of a forward-thinking player like Keita or indeed Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. So look out for pre-season comments from Klopp about how he might use the Ox, and at 6.5 could be a nice differential. Let's go to the last one, Sam. One that I reluctantly put in, Troy Deeney, but very few people are talking about the Watford man, and the fixtures, Sam, don't look too bad. Brighton at home, Everton away, which is clearly difficult, West Ham at home, Newcastle away, and we all know that Newcastle are doomed, right? I think that's without Benitez and without Perez, Newcastle are going to have a tough season. More on them in a later video.
Doomed.
But Brighton, Everton, West Ham, Newcastle, then Arsenal at home. The Watford fixtures for the £6.5 million frontman on penalties. What's not to like about Troy Deeney? Or shall I write your list?
Well, I mean, he trolled me royally last season, that's for one. But mostly also that Dele Alli is in the same price point, in the same position, and I'd rather have Dele Alli than I would Deeney.
Okay, who's on penalties for Watford? Is it Troy Deeney? I think it is. I think it is, unless they're going to make a big change. But at 6.5 in the game, another price bracket, 9 goals, 5 assists last year. Only one of those was a penalty, by the way.
And a red card.
4 yellows, 1 red, I've written down on here.
Yeah, so I got the red card, didn't I?
He's got a bit of a penchant for a card. There's no doubt about it. But at 6.5, he's in that bracket where, if you're looking for that sort of more affordable striker bracket, which a lot of us will be looking at because a lot of FPL managers are moving funds into midfield for the likes of Salah and Sterling and Mane and De Bruyne, maybe he's one of those 6.5s that you put up front.
I've gone with you on all the others. I've
lost you at Deeney. I've lost you.
You've gone too far now. I buy into the Watford thing. I absolutely buy into the Watford thing. I'm not sure about Deeney because for me, I'd rather spend the money on Dele Alli, but the fixtures are good, and he could be, with VAR starting the season, he could be a lovely differential penalty taker.
He could be. Well, I had you for the first 6. I lost you for the last one.
But
6 out of 7 is not bad. 6 out of 7 is not bad. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Head over to @FPLFamily on Twitter if you're not following us over there already. @FPLFamily over on Instagram. Leave us a like before you go. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the little notify bell that pops up as well so that you know when there's a new FPL Family video, or indeed when we're going live. So we'll be doing more live streams Sunday night, 8 p.m, every single Sunday throughout the season, where we'll be reacting to the games that have just gone on from an FPL perspective that weekend. So don't miss out on those. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notify bell, and we will see you very, very soon. Thank you, guys.
Take care, guys.